this is my anvil. Now, I was lucky enough to pick this up about 12 to 13 years ago at a old antique store down in Southern California for $20. I now live in North Idaho, and it has traveled with me everywhere since. I've had to clean up this edge once recently because it was all tore up. Now, it's not in perfect shape, but you know what? It's a very good anvil, and I've had it for a long period of time. I finally get to use it for what it was meant for. Now, we'll go over the anvil parts in a different video, because each area of the anvil has a specific use and are handy in different ways. We'll talk about that later though. Now, when discussing various hardie tools, there's several to be used. The first thing that is the most important is your hot cut tool. This is one of the things that you'll probably use the absolute most. This is used in the hardie hole, that when you need to cut materials, you get it hot in your forge, then you bring it over here and you cut it. Okay? Very handy, one of the most useful tools. This one here was made out of a big piece of rebar that I found. I heated it up, pounded the end until where it would fit, tapered into this hardie hole, and then I hammered it in a few more times, cleaned up the edges, pounded this out flat, and ground an edge onto it. The next tool is your bending tool, or scrolling fork, if you will. There's several different names, you can call it what you'd like, but what it does is it helps with scrolls. When you have a hot piece of metal, you stick it in, and you kind of hold it against there, and as you twist the metal, it'll actually do a scroll, and you can do circles that way or whatever, and it works real well. Again, made out of a piece of pipe, heated up, pounded square, pounded into the hole, cut off, and a piece of quarter or half-inch bar stock, rounded, heated, rounded, and welded on there. Very cheap, very easy if you have access to a welder. If not, there are other various ways of building it. I don't know of any other offhand. That was easiest for me. There are videos. This here is, I'm not sure what the name of it would be, but I'm calling it a creasing tool. It is used for doing creases in metal. When, like, I do a leaf, I put it in there, heat it up, and then as I go over with my chisel, it not only chisels on the leaf, but it also drops the metal down into the slot. You can use this for other various applications. It's just two pieces of bar stock welded together on a small stand that will fit in there. It's not perfect, but it works, and that's kind of the point of blacksmithing. One of the last tools that I have in my arsenal currently is the spring fuller. Basically, you put it in here and you put your stock or your material in between, and as you hit on the top, it does a fullering action on both sides. It helps with fleur-de-lis and various other stuff. I can't really go into much detail because I've not used it much. I'm also going to be making a guillotine here eventually. I've not had a chance to do it yet, and I have to procure the stock. The very next thing we're going to discuss is hot cutting. I've got a piece of material that I need to cut down to size, and this will be a good demonstration to show you how this process works. You want to get your piece hot, and I have it marked where I want. I like to hit twice and rotate. And if you keep on rotating while you work, you actually get a better cut for rounded and squared stock. For flat stock, just hammer it flat. Once you get near the end, use pliers if you need to, and cut your ends. You see how that comes out? Let me get over here. Where are we at? There we go. It comes out fairly decent. I like it. So that's the hot cut process. It's very simple. It works real well if you have a sharp hot cut tool. If it's dull, it sucks. The next tool we're going to discuss is the bending fork, or the scrolling fork. Once you've got your material hot, you just put it in there, and you just bend right around. You keep going as you go, and you do a nice scroll. It's a very handy tool. Now, when you start out, you won't have these tools offhand. You'll have to build them all yourself. It can be an arduous process, but it's very well worth the time, because each little piece create something more. You'll be able to do more with different tools. So, let me get in close. Not that close. Good scrolling fork. The next tool we're going to discuss is the spring fuller. And this is how it's used. You put your piece of material in, twist it sideways, go to where you want, and just start tapping. Your end product will have two fullers, one on either side. You can use that to make like door latches or gate pulls or various things. It's more decorative as far as I'm aware, but it's still a process that can help and work. Now, on to the next tool. The next tool we're going to discuss is the creasing tool. I'll show you how that's done real quick. You take out your piece of material, always brush any of the scale off, and you place it where you want it. Now, it's always a little bit best to have this on a full piece of stock, but I gotta go with what I got right now. Now, let me be clear here. It's best to use a full piece of material and hold it while you're working, or use your legs to hold the stock in place. Because I had this little short end piece, that's what I did. So, what you see here is that it curves the material down in the center. Now, that front, that sucks. Don't worry. This is going to get thrown away or turned into something else. But the point is, it creases into the material, or rather the material creases into there. So it can create a line for, well, I use it mostly for leaves. I haven't really thought of anything else yet, but I'm sure you could use it for a lot of different stuff. But again, the biggest point about blacksmithing is that you create your own tools. Most of the hardie tools that I have, well, actually all the hardie tools that I have, I've made myself. It's took some time. It takes patience. That's the big thing, is patience and perseverance. You'll fail a lot whenever you make something. The point is to have fun no matter what. Even if you get frustrated, just stop, take a minute, take a couple of deep breaths, grab some water or coffee or whatever. Think about it and then come back. Sometimes you may have to set a project down for a period of time and then eventually come back to it. That's fine as well. Don't overdo it is the big thing.